It's true what Loisan says, the competitors have been waiting for this. We get our first day of sand and Gonçalves starts to feel the pace. And with the sand are sure to come more spectacular images to add into the great historical archives of the Dakar. Dangers have lurked all through the first week of the Dakar, and crashes can come out of nowhere, as Matthias Walkner found. And that leaves Toby Price flying the factory flag alone.
We've still just got to have a lot of luck go our way, and we've still got to make our own choices. My confidence is good, my navigating's been going well, and yeah, but as I say, there's still a really long way to go.
Rookie Antoine Mio won his first stage of the Dakar, and that's when the dreaming starts. We've done the easiest bit of the Dakar, I think. Of course, I dream of the podium, but it's going to be hard. I've got to be calm every day to make sure nothing bad happens. Honda are relying on Gonçalves to deliver the goods. Big pressure for Speedy. Right now, we've got to be a bit careful because the times are more or less the same. After a tough week at the top, I'm really satisfied with how I'm doing. But with Benavides back on home turf, the challenge to Gonçalves could come not from KTM, but his own teammate. Another split stage today back in Argentina for the bikes. Tricky navigation will give way to the spectacular challenge of the dunes and sand. We're off to Belén. Before 7 AM, the top riders were lined up and preparing to start the first part of the special, but the beauty of the Prix d'Orliaison hadn't been lost on them. Really, it's truly majestic. It's the most beautiful place I've gone through in Argentina. It's beautiful because on the other side it's really green, then you go over the mountain, and on the other side it's desert. It looks kind of like Mexico. It's superb. Of course, we have a stage to run, and spectacular countryside can be a distraction for the riders. They've got to get their heads back in the game. This is the last week for the Dakar, and it's really going to be more difficult because there'll be lots of navigation, lots of sand, lots of stones, and it's going to be hot. Well, I'll do the best I can. Today was a very particular test for Antoine Meo. His win on stage 7 gave him the first run at the 393 kilometres of today, and his first go at navigating, totally unsighted. Not the easiest thing to do. We've not seen much of the Sherco pairing in the last few days, but Alain Duclos and Juan Pedrero started the day 9th and 10th overall. Duclos had an Iritrack problem that he stopped for, but he'll get his repair time back and will just graze the top 10 today and stay inside it overall. While his big teammate Pedrero, who dwarfs the Sherco, was riding free and easy after a day's rest. 9th today, 9th overall. Fighting with him, Gerard Fares is trying for his best Dakar finish, or to at least match his 7th place from 2012. To do that, he needs to overhaul Held Rodriguez. 5 minutes separate them at the start of the day. At the finish, that gap had spread by another minute. Stefan Svitko, what a rally he's having. After only one race with this bike in the last 4 months, he's shown remarkable consistency. 3rd overall at the start of the day, the affable Slovakian started a lowly 9th, but rose to 4th to keep his hands on 3rd place. Just behind in the standings is Pablo Quintanilla on the lone Husqvarna. Today we started to get into the sort of terrain that the Chilean loves to ride. Silky smooth as ever, Quintanilla is desperate for a maiden podium and feels it getting closer. And with this special split into 2 parts, there were 2 chances to gain or lose time. The big changes came in part 2. Back on home soil, we saw the best of Benavides again. until we hit the low dunes. Pushing hard as always, but when the sand arrived, he took a wrong turn in search of a waypoint. It cost him an extra 2 minutes, allowing Quintanilla to best his time. Disappointment at the end of the day for Benavides. Luckily, I was riding with Antoine Mio and managed to find the trails again and get going. At the same time, it was so hot. The sand was really slippery and difficult, but it was good. The day's big winner? That's Toby Price. Starting 5th, the Australian didn't really gain time until the start of the second part. Then he began slowly but surely to extend his day's lead. Then, in the dunes, the time gap exploded from 2 to 5 minutes. Price is the new rally leader overall. Gonçalves saw his time at the top come to an end today, but not without a scrap on the challenging stage. Right to the last, he held the gap to Price, but disaster struck, almost within sight of home.
I crash. I have lucky to don't have any injury. The bike only broke a little the tower, and at the end I need to be more slower to fix the tower with the hand, to don't cut the cables, to try arrive how best is possible. The marathon is only tomorrow, so I'm a lucky guy.
Confirmation of the results then today. Price gets it by 5 minutes and 17 seconds. Quintanilla in third, 2 minutes ahead of Stefan Svitko. Kevin Benavides rounding out the top 5, just 4 seconds behind Svitko. And Toby Price now has the overall lead, 2 minutes to the good ahead of Paulo Gonçalves. Svitko holding on in third. $12,000 to the Teco charity. Mr. Guillermo Benitez was there to accept the generous donation on behalf of Teco. The Dakar has developed a strong relationship with the charity, supporting them for the last 8 years. As Teco, present in 18 countries in South America, concentrate on improving the living conditions of the poorest inhabitants of the country. Heinz Kinnig-Gardner is a KTM legend. The Austrian somehow never won the Dakar, but he'll always be linked to the race after exploits on the big KTM. And when he talks, it's always good to listen.
This first week was a little bit strange, there was not any big gap coming up, so they were very tight together, and almost never that they changed the positions. They started, and these 3 minutes are not so bad. I believe they have a little bit more to do to close the gaps now, and so now I hope the real Dakar starts. Everything is possible. So Paulo Gonçalves is doing a great job. He has a lot of experience, so he will be difficult to beat in the real off-road sections, but speed-wise, Toby is amazing fast, so you will see. The better one will win.
Trust me, most of the day I've been getting some rest, did a bit of washing, but my mechanic Alan, he's been very busy. Let's go and talk to him. Bonjour Alan, ça va?
Hello.
And we had a small problem here, where the pin was hitting the damper. It was causing the lack of steering. But apart from this, the bike is good. Yeah. And without Alan, I'd be stuffed. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
This is my mechanic,
How's it?
Flippy.
How's it, dude? He's been looking after my machine all race. That's why it's been running so well. So, yeah. Now we're ready to go for the second half of the rally. This is Brian Bergwaneth, this is my Dakar.
Hi guys, my Dakar asked me to film a little bit of the rest days and what I'm doing. Well, today I was hitchhiking to go to the hotel, and I was lucky that pickup of the organization picked me up. And by the way, here's the responsible for all the pictures to be put together so that we have the 26 minutes. So that's what I do on the rest days, have a ride with the media guys.
Tomorrow we keep our eyes pointed south, hugging the imposing peaks of the Andes mountain range and exploring the canyons and natural fissures formed over millennia. Earth's history is written into the landscape. Dakar history will be scribed upon its surface. Tomorrow, the second marathon stage begins. Today, we'll bring you the story of the hardest day so far. It was a stark reminder of how nature can turn the Dakar from a race against the clock to a more primal urge, simply to reach the next bivouac, and its promise of respite from nature's merciless glare. Previously in the bikes, slowly but surely, Pablo Quintanilla has got himself in the race for the overall and the podium. The truth is, I'm feeling good, but it's definitely going to get harder. Someone who's feeling even better is Kevin Benavides, hailed as a hero everywhere he goes. Gonçalves may have lost his lead when he crashed, but the Honda rider is not about to give up the fight just yet. I've not got any major injuries from it. The objective now is to try to close that 3-minute gap. Following riders, I have the advantage in theory, and I'll try to keep my pace up high. Price leads the race for the first time since stage 2, but it's not yet time to dream of winning.
As a racer, you always want to win, and you always want to be on that top step. It all looks good on paper, but anything can happen between now and then.
The plan of the day was to get from Belém through the rough sand landscapes to the first part of the marathon bivouac. But things are never that simple on the Dakar. Catamarca, beautiful, vast, sand as far as the eye can see, and tough routes. And tough was the only word to describe Paulo Gonçalves. After his crash the day before, you would be forgiven for thinking that perhaps the worst had passed for the Portuguese Honda rider. But as he raced hot on the heels of Toby Price, something bad happened to the Honda. We found him at checkpoint 2, despairing as his bike sat unresponsive. A hole in the radiator, caused by a small crash into a sand hole, left him running with no cooling just to reach the checkpoint. Help finally arrived from his teammate Michel Metz, but even with a jump, the bike wouldn't start. We're trying to find a solution so my teammate can restart. It's dead. But now we had the news that the second part of the stage is cancelled, so that means the race is back on. It's really great. As the temperatures rose, the riders took shelter at checkpoint 2, and Mark Comer explained why the race was over for the day at least. In the middle of the morning, the temperatures started to rise and got to a point when it was more than 40 degrees. That was tough, as we had bike riders who were very tired and also very dehydrated. We had to start evacuating people, and the helicopters weren't able to totally cover the stage anymore. And at checkpoint 2, we decided to stop the special for everyone. And I believe that was the best decision. I believe we're correct. So, Gonçalves may yet still be in the race. With the stage cancelled, he has a chance to repair his bike if he can make it to the bivouac in Fiambala. Some riders, though, had already left checkpoint 2 and would finish the stage. The first was the man who opened the road, Toby Price. With no trails to light his way, the onus was on navigation, and today Price excelled all the way to the finish. Until that point, he was oblivious to the drama behind him. The news meant mixed emotions at the finish.
I get to the finish line and then they cancel the rest of it, so it's that's a bit of a shame. So, but yeah, I guess that's just the way it is. We'll have to wait and see what call they come up with. But yeah, it's a bit of a bummer for me. Like, I have to get to the finish line, and I've done that, and yeah, and they've called it. So, but I guess that's just the way it is.
Even experienced riders struggled all day. Olivier Pain, in his own team this year, got rather lost early on and was one who never made it past the race stoppage at checkpoint 2. Top Honda is now Kevin Benavides, and you'd have got pretty long odds on that 10 days ago. He lost time in the second half of the stage, but only to Price. He's now 4th overall. No matter the terrain, Stefan Svitko continues to impress. Holding station in the top 3 today, he said his aim was to stay 3rd at the finish in Rosario. Right now, he's 2nd overall. It could be a historic Dakar for the Slovakian. Sand is a natural terrain of Quintanilla, and though he's not in his native Chile, he's still incredibly strong, coping better with the heat than most. Provisionally at least, his pace today has got him onto the podium. There was a wonder performance from Ricky Brabec today, storming to 5th on the stage in the sort of conditions that he's used to back home in California. But it could have been more, as the American himself explains at the end of the stage.
I just got to I think 20 kilometers back, they red flagged us and said the special's canceled. So after that, you know, we just cruised in. But it's a bummer that they canceled the stage. But then again, safety's first, and it is pretty warm out here.
It was a confusing day for all the riders, and not a bad one for Antoine Mio. A little fall in a ravine, but nothing majorly bad. The KTM rider passed Helder Rodriguez at kilometre 250, closing a gap that started the day at 6 minutes. He's credited with 6th today and is now 5th overall. So Toby Price takes the win, a gap the biggest of the rally so far of 7 minutes over Kevin Benavides. Svitko 3rd, 10 minutes. And Quintanilla and Brabec rounding out the top 5. Very close for those riders that made it to the end, but that is significant. Toby Price now leads from Stefan Svitko by 24 minutes. Quintanilla 3rd, Benavides and Mio now in the top 5. On the stage, the aid effort was in full sway, with riders gathered around what little shade the race helicopters could offer to avoid the worst of the sun's heat. Water is the key, and these riders will shortly be on their way to Fiambala as the heat of the day finally begins to recede. Every day, it's TV helicopters that fly alongside the competitors to bring you the most spectacular shots of the Dakar, like this one. Three helicopters are in the sky to capture all the best action of the race. On board each, the 3 crew must work together, airborne for more than 8 hours every day. This is their story.
It's like a trio. On the right side there's the pilot, the journalist is in front on the left, and the operator is in the back. The camera operator is a little bit blind. He has his head in the monitor and can't see what goes on outside. His eyes are the journalist and the pilot. They tell him, do a wider shot, there's a great landscape.
Helicopters have always been part of the Dakar, but a beautiful aerial shot can only work if the crew members on board are synchronised.
If the connection is not good between the pilots and the operator, you won't get a nice shot. We all have in our heads some incredible footage in which we are completely zoomed on a competitor. You think it's another classic shot, but then you zoom out, and with the movement of the machine, it just makes a fantastic scenery.
In 2016, the technology is very high-tech, and the way the footage is shot is very different from the days back in Africa.
It was easier in Africa. There were no electric posts or wires, no trees. The landscapes were more flat. In Africa, we used to fly very, very close and low. I remember seeing a driver touching the foot of a cameraman who was in the helicopter.
Since 1997, the camera's no longer been on the shoulder of the cameraman. It's a remote control system that makes everything a lot safer, with the helicopters flying higher.
The TV helicopters are the ones that are flying the most, and we've built over time a very strong relationship with the competitors. Discovering all these countries in a helicopter, flying in places where no one goes, it's incredible. It's exceptional, and I know I'm very lucky.
Dislocated?
No, it's paralyzed.
Oh, sorry, mate.
No, don't worry. That's the problem. I only have one arm to push. So if you can help me.
I get my breath.
I know. Two.
Two, three.
One.
Jesus.
No.
It's okay. You won't stop. You won't stop.
One. Two.
Hey!
Hey!
Hey! Hey!
Thank you. I've been here for 1, 2, 3.
Jesus. Man, you're stuck.
Don't expect tomorrow to be any easier on the Dakar races, from Belén to La Rioja. Paulo Gonçalves is now at the marathon bivouac. But will his race end there, or will he remount to fight another day? The tough stage ahead lies in stark contrast to the tranquility of Belén.
Start early today, eh?
Historically, the Dakar starts with its classes divided. The bikes run with bikes, cars with cars, and so on. Today, the Dakar organisers decided to spice things up a bit with an event we call the Super Fiambala. The start list will mix all 4 classes together in an assault on the dunes.
I think
it's nice to give the Dakar a new twist. I don't know if Mark Comer came up with that idea, but mixing bikes, cars and trucks all together, it's a great idea. Now we just have to see if it's going to work.
Most of the guys, they go faster, so I don't think we will see the guys in front of us. Maybe you change the car for the bike?
It'll be good. Starting as the first car, fifth behind the bikes. Someone's got to open the road, I guess.
Y bueno, alguien tiene que abrir la pista.
We have a truck, a few bikes, and a few cars in front of us, so I really hope we're going to have good tracks.
I start off first in front of the cars, so hopefully a car doesn't catch me. If a car does, then I think I must have had a bit of drama, a bit of trouble for the day, I think.
Whatever happens, it's going to be interesting, as all the competitors set off as one into the dunes of Fiambara. Yesterday, the extreme heat shortened the stage. But for the top guys, that made little difference until the very end when they heard the news.
I get to the finish line and then they cancel the rest of it, so it's a bit of a shame, but I guess that's just the way it is.
Price extended his lead despite the changes, and it's now Stefan Fitko who poses his biggest threat to the overall win. Honda have a new star. Ricky Brabec roared through the sands to second, pushing all the way.
It was hard on the bike, hard on the body because of the heat. Your body it drains itself. Kind of like where I race at home, so I think I gained up some time on there.
Brabec was a light in the dark for Honda as Paulo Gonçalves was brought to a halt.
We do our best every day, and sometimes it's not enough.
With the stage stopped, Gonçalves has a lifeline, but can he fix what the Dakar has broken? With the help of his teammates, Gonçalves made it just to the marathon bivouac in Fiambara. And that was where the real work began, to somehow coax the seized engine back to life. Cannibalising the bike of Mech for the piston to ensure no penalty was incurred for changing the whole engine. A clever strategy. Since last year, we've prepared for the marathon stages. And all year we've been always working on our bikes. And now we had the experience to fix them. Time ticked on, but as the sun set, the bike sprang to life. And Gonçalves began to think of the days to come. I've had help from two guys from the team and Mario Petrao, working all the afternoon, and now it's 9 at night. We don't know what time we might have lost, but we'll keep fighting, because fighting is really all we can do. There was another slight modification to the day's stage. A late start means an early end at checkpoint 5, 33k short. And here's a rider with some big pedigree behind him in his first Dakar, Armand Monleon, a rider in the Marconia Junior team since 2007. He's been touted by the Spanish press as Coma reborn. Maybe not yet though. 9th yesterday, only 19th today. Across the Dunas Blancas, Price gave up minutes to his competitors to ride the first half of the stage with them. And now that the gap is over 20 minutes, it seems strategy has come into play. Third today was a fair representation of the stage. And in the dunes, the top riders were as one.
I had a fair decent crack yesterday to make sure we'd try and make some time, and we've done that. And we've got a little buffer now, but it's still no guarantee. Like anything can happen between now and then.
Today was a huge result for Stefan Fitko. The Slovakian headed the timesheets from start to finish to win his first ever Dakar stage, grabbing huge chunks of time out of Price, 5 minutes to the good by the end of the special. He now has a 12-minute cushion to third and is closing on Price. The third of the top trio was Kevin Benavides. He finished second today to stay 6th overall, 3 minutes off the win, 10 minutes off the podium. But the Dakar rookie still has one or two things left to learn. Laia Sanz had a rough day. This crash left her with a damaged radiator. And from then on, she had to stop to refill with water from supporters on the side of the dunes. Do you have water? Because it's getting hot, but the rest is okay. Somehow, today, she made it to the end, but lost time, finishing 35th, an hour and a half down. A rough day for Laia Sanz. Not as tough as Sanz's day, but still a tougher day for Brabeck in the dunes than yesterday. But he still featured inside the top 10 in 8th place. The big Californian has certainly proved his skill during this marathon stage. Just ahead of the Honda and just behind the KTM of Mio came Helder Rodriguez. His handlebars bent back into shape after a fall yesterday, but his body was too sore to push hard. 7th per day keeps him 7th overall, the Yamahas running together. And for the first time in a few stages, Pablo Quintanilla lost time on the men ahead of him. But there was a reason behind it. Problems on the stage causing him to slow down. When I got to the refueling, I found I'd ripped the rear tyre, a really big hole. After that, it was impossible to ride hard. I had to stay calm, keep a rhythm, and I think I lost a lot of time. And so, what of Gonçalves? Well, he took the start. His teammate, Michel Mech, didn't. Their hours of toil paid off, but he'd lost a cumulative 31 minutes with problems. It may have been repaired, but the Honda ran faultlessly today. Gonçalves and Honda made a miracle happen to finish 4th on the stage. He's still 3rd overall. The chance of winning the Dakar still tantalisingly close. So history made today for Stefan Svitko, the first Slovakian ever to win on the Dakar Rally. Kevin Benavides in second, Price losing 5 minutes, but it won't matter too much to him. Paulo Gonçalves, not much more can be said that hasn't been said already. 34 minutes now, the gap to Toby Price. It's all to play for the men on the podium of the Dakar Rally.
It's amazing what she can do on a motorcycle.
I was worried she was going to be in front of me. That's why I pushed so hard. Laia is incredible. Whatever bike she rides, trial, enduro or rally, she's so impressive. Who are they talking about? None other than the unique talent that is Laia Sanz.
It's an honor to have riders such as them talking like that about me in such a nice way, with respect. That they respect me as a rider and that I'm able to battle with them is something I never could have imagined.
A 13-time trial world champion, 3-time enduro world champion, Laia always had a dream of one day racing the Dakar.
It was a dream come true when I found myself on the start line. I really suffered a lot in the race because I was not ready enough and I didn't know what I was getting into. I believe that the last 10 kilometers on the final stage were the best moment of my life.
Why this race? For Sanz, her desire has always been to compete on a level playing field. The Dakar offers that.
I believe that I'm not here to have fun. I worked a lot and I lived tough moments without any support. I always compete with boys and I think that's the secret for the level that I now have. It's a real motivation. I had to work hard because I was competing and training with them, like if I was one of them.
Toughness that only the Dakar can bring. Sanz has shown that this year, bouncing back impressively fast from nasty spills.
I think my race looks tough because I think that I was unlucky because the two crashes I had this year. One was in an area we knew was really tough. Each time have been filmed, so it looks like I had a crazy race, but I think it's a rather calm rally and a pretty safe.
It seems history is made wherever Laia goes. Speed, talent, and a lot of work has gotten her into the top 10 of the toughest race in the world.
For me, the 9th place in the last Dakar was like a victory. I was probably as happy as Mark Coma when he won.
But she's not done. The learning curve is still steep. There's no doubt that Laia Sanz is still firmly in the ascendancy in her Dakar story.
It's day 9, 10, don't know anymore, and it's really hot, and we're trying to find a route through the camel grass and the soft sand, and about to enter another dry riverbed, and it's just boiling hot. So just taking 5 minutes in the shade and I'll crack on again. I'm at the first CP and they've cancelled the race just because it's too hot, and I can justify for that. It's boiling. It's really nice to be in the shade. Okay.
Tomorrow, stage 11 of 13, time is running out for gaps to be closed up. We stay close to the Andes on our way to San Juan. And as the bivouac nestles in the shadow of the mountains in the province of La Rioja, the competitors prepare to slug it out once more when the adventure continues tomorrow in Argentina.